Back. All right, so we're supposed to do a fireside chat format. You guys are familiar with that. That is just a couple real estate professionals having a conversation, asking some questions, giving each other feedback. I'm not going to sit up stage. We're not going to sit up here and go through slides. That stuff's boring. Those guys already passed. I still do paper. So, Nancy, could you describe how you began your career in real estate? What is inspired your professional path?
Yeah, so my career in real estate started, some of you guys have heard this. I was selling my house on my business on Main Street in Mulligan Hill. And I had left a sales profession. I had the worst experience I've ever had in a sales environment.
Can you guys hear her?
You guys hear me okay? Right? So I'll talk this way?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm putting my house on the market. Do I need the microphone?
Yeah, you
really?
can.
Am I not loud enough?
Yeah, let her
First time
have
I've
it.
been told that. Just so
It's
you know.
deceptively a big room.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so the question is, how did I start my career in real estate? And so I put my house on the market in Mulligan Hill. I had left radio, I was closing a business, and I was selling a home. And I hired the best agent, right, the #1 agent in town, and had the worst experience of my life. So for 6 months, I had my house on the market, I was paying 2 mortgages, and I could not ever get that person on the phone, right? How many people have that experience? They called, voicemail's full. Well, if I can't get my agent, how's someone calling about my house? So I put a for sale by owner sign out front, went to real estate school and sold it myself. And that's literally how I got started, said I can build a better mousetrap.
So you were inspired on your professional path because you hated your real. I think you guys can hear me, right?
I don't think so.
No? All right. Well, we're gonna roll with it anyway. So they're going. I don't really want the microphone.
I gotcha. So I was
What-
inspired to build a better mousetrap, right? So my idea was professionalism, someone who answered the phone, showed up when they said they were going to, did the things they said they were going to.
Okay.
A novel concept.
So what has influenced you as a leader, and what lessons have you learned from them?
Excellent. So as a leader, I've been influenced by other good leaders out there. On my way here, I was listening to Bob Proctor, which is about mindset. If anybody's listening to Bob Proctor, he's amazing, right? I have a coach, Craig Proctor, so, and Todd Walters.
Relations?
No relations,
Wow.
but just brilliant mindsets. And so I look around at people that are doing what I want to do, and I find out what differentiates them from the crowd. And so, Craig Proctor says, hey, if everybody's put in the MLS, let's not. And hey, if everybody's asking for people to look at you online, let's not, right? So let's do, the crowd's doing this, as I think Scott said earlier, the flock of seagulls is doing this, go forge your own path. And so that's what inspires me. I look at people that are successful and they're generally not doing what the masses are doing.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. For me, I hated where I was my inspiration for getting into real estate. I was a business entrepreneur, we owned restaurants, and I didn't want to have to work so hard to work hard. That's what inspired my transition into real estate, which I wish I would have done sooner in life. I wish I would have skipped a couple chapters and just got here. But that's where I wanted to share, is that it was born from hatred, which kind of sounds weird, but that's why I had enough pain to make the change into something that made me happier. As far as professional influencers go, there's not one single person that has ever been like, that's the one, but they have nuggets. I believe in nugget bombs, right? Like little nuggets all around. Someone's gonna say something, it could come from your parents, it could come from other professions. For example, you said you're having a kid. Dr. Porter's nugget to me was, different ages, different problems. Don't rush. Enjoy it. It goes by really fast, right? And I didn't even listen to it. I got the advice. I didn't heed it, right? Because you're so busy in the mix of things, right? Dr. Pete, every great businessman has an exit strategy. Knowing if you're gonna do work, you're gonna build something, like what's the point? What's the plan? How do you exit? Golden parachute, legacy business. Those are the things that you gather from, those were 2 doctors, right? Mom, never let someone know your business better than you. Know every inch of your business, know how it operates, that's a good leader. Dad, different facade, same thing on the inside, don't get caught up in shiny object syndrome. There's nuggets that'll come along the way that we need to pick up, but there's not one single person for me, as far as the career journey goes. So I know we're on a time crunch, so we're gonna keep it moving.
Good.
So the next question.
Yeah.
Where do you find inspiration and creativity for your work? And how do you encourage others towards creative thinking?
Right, so creative thinking is one of the things I've just always enjoyed. I like the creative process. And I find that if I quiet the mind, get out in nature a bit, is when I have my best creative hits. First thing in the morning, in the shower, it's statements. My staff actually bought me a notepad and pen that I can use to write in the shower with, because I'm always having ideas there, right? So because when you quiet the mind, so there's lots of busy things, and there's lots of things to be inspired by and learn from. So I'm on social media to
So how do
see.
you quiet the mind?
So when I focus on other things, if I'm out walking and I'm like walking fast enough, or if I'm in the shower, did I wash my hair? Did I do this? Like I'm just literally letting it free flow. I do better when I'm driving. I really have great inspirational hits, in fact, that I feel on the way here. So, I mean, I think that the more we focus on a problem, the more we focus on the problem, not the solution. And when you free up your mind, this is part of the mindset piece of it, is allowing your mind to free up and find that solution for you. You've done enough reading, you've been through enough situations, your intuition, that higher power, I believe, is huge, and you have to learn how to cue into that for creativity.
So how do you inspire those around you, your team, your agents, your brokerage, your business? Like, how do you channel that energy to them?
Yeah, so creating that vision, creating that vision for them, and saying, this is my vision for the company. Actually, one of the things that we do, every year I buy a book for the team, and I say, I want you to read this book before we go through goal and goal setting, right? So if you say, listen, I'm an agent, I want to do 24 deals a year, or my goal is 50 a year for all of my agents, whether they like it or not. So, but actually most of them don't, not everybody thinks that way, and that's fine. So I say, what is your goal? What is your vision? And then let's fold it into the company, and here's how we're going to plus it. Here's what we're going to do to create something that is exciting for you, right? So that's, for me, what are your goals? How do we plus it? How do we make a difference to you? And it's not just professional goals, it's personal goals, right?
Yeah, so for me, I'm a sounding board. When I'm with one of my agents, one of the team members, or somebody professionally, I don't offer anything. I ask questions to engage their thought, for them to have the aha moment. How many times has somebody said something to you and the light bulb never went off, right? But all of a sudden you're like, the light bulb goes off. You're like, I heard that 2 years ago from such and such. So my role in my company is I don't tell them anything. I ask questions, I let them answer their own questions and create their own plan, and then I hold them accountable.
Right.
That's where I come on the other side, is I hold them accountable. Hey, how's that thing going? What about that thing you mentioned? Oh, so I guess you really didn't want it better.
Right, yes.
That's
yes.
what I put them in check.
Accountability is a huge factor,
huge factor for me. And how I find inspiration is through failure of myself and people around me. I don't want to hear about what to do right. I want to hear about what you did wrong. Like, what is your regret? What are you like, man, I shouldn't have done that. That was such a waste of time. Why did I go? Now I know what to avoid, so I can focus my energy, skill, and time on what to do. So I like to, there's a book called Loonshot, L-L-O-N Shot, S-H-O-T. Fantastic. They go through a whole case study of major corporations, Polaroid, Kodak, all those companies that went out of business because they missed the mark on how to operate. So that's where I find inspiration, is through other people's actual failure. I appreciate their lessons shared.
It's stand on the shoulders, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're moving into core values.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your core values, your company's core values, and why are they significant to your mission?
So core values in our company is second mile service. The first mile is expected, right? So second mile service, if you look around, I said, I'm gonna go back probably 7 or 8 years, I said, if I got paid in 5-star reviews instead of cash, what would that look like? And so what we built is something so that every client feels like they're the only client. Every client has that special experience. We don't just do that for clients. I want my agents to have second mile service. The vendors that work with us to have second mile service. I want everyone that comes in contact with us to understand that this is how things get done professionally, the right way, and to walk away as a better person, and having had a fabulous interaction. Now we're building a relationship, right? And if something goes off the rails, as it often does, it's a chance to build that relationship further, teach someone, because I've had plenty of agents say, can I actually, on the opposite side of the deal, can I ask for repairs? I'm going, yes, and here's how we do this, right? So I'm having this conversation as a broker as opposed to an agent, and kind of helping teach them along the way and encouraging them to talk to their broker more. But second mile service, looking at that, I've seen other people kind of look at that and laugh and say, I'm not helping that person. Well, second mile service is really helping the person next to you, doing more than is expected.
So I heard you say that second mile service. I'm still unclear. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm a little unclear. So you're coaching the other side on how to do it.
So now, second mile service is the service that we all do as real estate agents is expected. So you're expected to find a buyer for yourself. You're expected to take pictures and price it right and answer phone calls. All of those things are expected, but how do you take that next level? So the next level is making them feel like you're the only client that you're working with. The next level is making sure all of their concerns are heard when you sit down at that listing presentation, not just, hey, what's the price that you want to, what price do you believe in? Because we all have that conversation at some point, but what's most important in this transaction? Time, energy, price, right? So everybody's got something different. What's their real story? So asking those questions so that when you're giving them service, you're giving them what they need and what you perceive that they need, right? So a bit more. So the Bible says second mile service. First mile is expected. You're gonna walk on this path, you're gonna do from A to Z as a real estate agent to get this job done. We're going to do it in a way that's going to make you want to shout from the heavens that we did it not just well, but we did it better than everybody
So
else.
is that your core value, or is that a mission statement for your company?
It's both, honestly. So the mission statement is that we are the best place to buy, sell, and invest real estate, and the best experience for all of our buyers, sellers, and real estate agents and vendors. So that's the mission statement that we have, or the core values that we have, and the second mile service is how we got there.
Okay, cool. For us, we have quick core values. There's a bunch of them, but do what's right, work smarter, create value, or just a couple of our core values that are meant and designed to inspire the mission statement to get it done, which is create freedom through real estate, whether it's financial, relationship, lifestyle, right? Our goal in our company is to create freedom. How do we do that? Different freedoms for different people, but the core value should always inspire the agent or the staff to work towards that mission statement that we have. I also like to tell a story about BMW. Their mission statement is the ultimate driving machine, for those who like BMWs. So their suspension's a little better, their steering's a little more tighter, the air's a little bit colder, the windows come up a little quicker. And Disney World, right? The happiest place on earth. Every day they come to work, and their mission is to make what? The happiest place on earth, right? So if you have that mission statement, if it's second mile service for you, right? For us, it's create freedom. That should be the motivating factor, the big vision thing for your agents or your team, and the core values should be able to guide them like a little compass to help them. Are they creating value? Are they doing the right thing? Are they working smarter? Are they the expert, right? Like that's what we do in our company. Moving on to the some more opinions and challenges for you as a leader and what you're seeing in the industry. In your opinion, what is the biggest challenge leaders face today?
So our industry is facing a ton of disruption. So as a leader, you have to be able to pivot quickly. You have to be able to see what's coming down the road long before it gets here, and have to be able to, and in my opinion, make a decision and be all in on something. So with the NAR lawsuit, I knew about this lawsuit when it first came out, and I changed the dynamics within our agency. For the past 7 years, we've been doing a buyer's agency exclusively. We've been getting paid by buyers for years, literally. So we learned how to do this ahead of everybody. A lot of the bulk of people, 80 or 85%, were saying it's never going to happen, never going to happen, right? And I'm going, it's happening, and I'm building a legacy company, and I'm not paying into that. I want to do something that's going to be different for not just my agents and my clients, but for everybody that comes after us. So what we're building is something a little bit different. And so I saw that, and I got buy-in from my agents. My agents, we've developed strategies that work to us. We're helping train other people. I've been actually talking around the country about doing these things on stage, and it's been a game changer for people. That sense of freedom that you can negotiate your own commission is amazing. It should have been taught years, decades ago, and it wasn't. And so being able to see,
taught, or was it?
It wasn't envisioned or taught.
I mean, when I went to real estate school, real estate commissions were always negotiable. That's what I was taught.
I was taught that too, but for some reason, people coming out of school these days are.
Who's the accountable partner to that? Is it real estate commission? Is it the big box brokerages, broker managers? Like, who's in charge of that?
I think there's a lot of guilt. I mean, I think the lawsuits pointed guilt to a lot of people. I think the sense of entitlement of people coming into this industry is that the difference is it's a 6% and I'm getting half of that. And I always thought, my gosh, you've been out of school for 2 weeks and I've been doing this for 18 years. Why should you get the same commission that I'm getting? Like, that was my mindset from day one. None of
Is that still your mindset today?
Today, I will tell you, if you can negotiate better than I can, you deserve more. Absolutely. Right? So if I'm doing that negotiations for my seller, I'm looking at their net numbers, and I want to make sure that they're getting the best numbers possible. And I want to make sure that I'm getting the commission that's appropriate for the effort that I'm putting out and for my numbers, so that I'm making a profit so I can stay in business and continue to build that legacy.
Profit's not a dirty word to me.
No, it's not. It's the American way. That's what we're here for.
We're here for profit.
Absolutely.
So there's a little segue in the question later, but like the biggest challenge I feel in the industry for leaders is delusions of grandeur, right? People that think they're so cool, people that think they're leaders, they're actually just really good managers, so to speak. They manage a process, or they're really good at motivator, right? But they don't know a thing about how to do a transaction, but they call themselves leaders in the industry, right? So, or they're great at a transaction, can't speak and close a deal to save their lives. So for me, it's delusions of grandeur is one of the biggest issues with leadership today. That's on the spirit of leadership. On the individual aspect of leaders is that they gaslight themselves. They totally believe everything they're putting out there to a point where they're missing the mark and they're creating a toxic environment.
Yes.
Circle back to my comment of commissions where it was negotiable,
Yes.
always were.
Yes.
It just wasn't shared, there wasn't disclosure to consumers.
Yes.
So who's accountable to that? Do we punish the whole industry? Do we punish the brokerages? Do we punish the broker managers? Right? Do we I punish the water cooler jockeys that create this toxic culture? Right? Who's in charge of that? I think that's the problem with leadership, is that no one's accountable. Right? They have this illusion of grandeur, but they're not actually leaders, and that they're leading their own lives.
Yes.
That's a problem for me, seeing that in the industry.
It's an excellent point.
Something I care about. What current trends do you see the real estate market headed on, and how do they impact sellers moving forward?
So I think the current trends, I think most people will tell you, and a lot of agents that have been storied in this business for years and decades will say, a good seller is going to still pay a buyer broker commission, and a good seller is going to do these things. And I'm meeting with more and more sellers who are saying, I don't want to pay a dime over this number. However you negotiate it is fine, or I don't want to, and I've had some specifically say, I don't want to pay a buyer's agent commission. And there's lots of pieces of this coming down. It's our job to talk to the sellers about pluses and minuses of all situations so they're well informed. It was said earlier, and I've always believed, we're educators, right? When we go in and give a listing presentation, we're talking about this with our clients, and we're educating them on the process. It's like a red curtain, pulling back the curtain, saying this is how it really works. So being able to identify those things and speak to them directly as opposed to skirting them and avoiding them. I think that that's a huge piece, and that's something we've been doing for years.
So as a leader and as a brokerage owner and everything else, when you're having that conversation with the seller, not putting out numbers, but like structure,
Yes.
how do you pitch that structure to them to make them see the aha moment? And do you ever get kickback from that?
Of course, and so every person that I'm sitting down with doesn't understand the structure of how we're paid. Some think it's hourly. Some people think it's being paid, by other industry professionals. So when we sit down and have that conversation, I'm talking about certain price ranges. Listen, in a price range of $1 million and above, I've been paid by the buyers. The buyers agents are normally paid by their buyers in a lot of cases. And I know that sounds odd, but smart money is they're negotiating that. When you're looking at FHA or first-time buyers, that deal needs to be more baked into that net number for that seller. So you've got to know who that avatar buyer is. You know your market. You know the price ranges. You know who that buyer is going to be. You help that agent structure the deal so that both the buyer and seller are able to put something together. If you can't have that conversation with people, you're not a solutions provider, right? You're just someone who's got a mindset of, I'm going to give you a presentation, you're going to pick A or B. That doesn't work in this market. It hasn't for a long time to be successful. So you ought to be able to talk about those net numbers, which I love Scott was talking about that earlier too. Those are things that most people don't talk about. And Mr. Seller, if I can get you 10.29% more, by the way, that's what Bright says I bring to the table, right? Would you be interested in paying a different commission structure? Absolutely. And by the way, I put my money where my mouth is. So I do things differently. You're not going to see other agents do that. You're not going to see other brokerages do that, by and large, right? But those are things that I have found to make us more successful. So it's a pivot, and it's something in leadership, and it's something is easily relatable and teachable if someone takes the time. You can take the time to teach both a buyer and a seller how it works. And if we're educating them, they're going to come back to you, and they're going to bring clients to you.
So what tools and technology do you use for that? So if you're having a conversation with a phone, you're sending them a QR code to drop some video. What technology and tools are you using for sellers, for listings, for that whole platform?
All of the above, everything there. So everything's a little bit different. You use everything from Zoom to BombBomb to QR codes to just plain old-fashioned picking up the phone, because voice to voice, you can do everything under the sun with that contact management system. If you don't pick up the phone and have a conversation, they're not buying or selling a home with you, right? So the bottom line is it's still relationships and your ability to convert and have an honest and authentic conversation with what's important to that buyer or seller. Because a lot of times when you first ask them, they're not going to tell you. So you use other things to help educate them, and then you ask and dig further to find out what they're truly looking for, and that's how you best service them.
Nice. For me, for the trends of the real estate market, I think that there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there.
Amen.
I think like we were talking about the whole social media world and the videos and the opinions and stuff like that. But even beyond the NAR thing, I'm talking about like shortage of housing. How many people say there's a shortage of housing? I'm calling BS, right?
Okay.
I think that there's plenty of houses out there. You just don't want to live there, right? That's the thing. I can take you to Philly. It's a Christmas tree. If you look up the Philadelphia map, right? Everything's for sale. 180 days on market. They just don't want to live there, right? There's a reason why my town in Haddonfield, it's $1 million for a house, right? Because you want to be there. You're going to pay the premium. So I think that the educational part from the industry standards, starting at the Department of Justice that wanted to sue the Association of Realtors, right? Like It needs to start there, where they need to pump more into the local towns and get them up to places where people want to live. It's not just on us as an industry, it's on government, it's on the communities, it's on the local RPOs, whatever they're called, right? So I think that's where we need to see a shift and focus the energy there, not so much on the drama, but the data, and get areas that do need infrastructure and people migrating there to actually put roots there and raise the community up. So that's where I think that there's a trend in real estate that should eventually happen with the disinformation. The misinformation as far as the lawsuit, how many times I've had a conversation with the seller recently, the law changed. I'm like, time out, the law didn't change, it was a lawsuit, and they were held accountable for being really crappy at their job of being disclosing things towards the consumer, right? So that's a level of conversation that I would like to see the industry in general start to have. Not the whole, like, I saw a thing on TikTok, I heard it from a broker 10 years ago, so therefore it has to be true. I was recently just corrected by an attorney because I was under the assumption that if somebody gives you a home inspection report for a previous deal, that falls through, you shouldn't share the inspection report. The attorney says to me, this is not legal advice, contact your local attorney, whatever, right? Disclaimer, that because it was part of the transaction, they lose rights to that buyer's inspection report, you can share it in the future. I had no idea, because I heard 8 years ago while I was at RE/MAX that you can't, right? So shame on me, right? If it's gonna start with anything, I'm gonna point the finger at myself first on how to be a better leader, because this is about leadership, right? Look in the mirror, start with that person first if you wanna see a change in the industry. And if we wanna be better, if we wanna be the beacon of light that we claim to be, especially on the stage, but then we also beat people down in the background and in our professions. I think there needs to be a shift from that level. I think we need to hold each other accountable to that level. And I think we need to have more events like this so we can share this message to the industry in general and start to create the tide of change that I hope to see.
More transparency. I have questions on that, so we can talk after, right?
Yeah. So I think that was part of the last part of the question there. But we talked about technology. For us, it's communication. We have a platform. You have communication over the phone, emails. How many people have 17 email chains started for one transaction? I hate it, right? Like, I don't know, like circling back. Yeah. Well, you didn't say this, but say we ever put everything in writing. Right. We have to find the email from like 15 chains ago to say, here's where it was stated. So we have a platform where everything is internalized, and they can the seller and buyer can watch live action how their transaction's going. Nice. That's not an expensive platform, by the way, guys.
What's the platform?
Well, one's in G Suite, right? So you all have Gmail. Well, not all. I'm sorry. I know you have Hotmail back there. There you go. Right? So AOL, right? Comcast.net. So just go on your G Suite. There's a whole chat feature, like a Slack channel, that's given to you for free. Right? Like, there's ways to work smarter, not harder. Right? It's one of our core values. Work smarter. It's right there in front of you. You can go back and track everything, set tasks, add files. How many people get a call every tax season? What do you get? Do you have my HUD? Do you have my closing docs? I need it for my CPA. Right? It's right there. It's been attached in your file. Your whole digital wallet's right there for yourself. And it was free, and it's in Gmail. You guys aren't using it because we're all part of some big machine brokerage that says you have to use our platform, right? Like to sell you the upsell to the monthly fees. Sorry, I digress.
I like things you're passionate about. That's
I care. So how do you establish and maintain trust in the competitive market? And what are your thoughts on networking? Like, how important is that to your business?
So I think networking and relationships are really important in this business, as long as they're used for good and not for evil. And I say that, you hear me say that to my kids a lot too. There's a lot of things that people, so there's those deadly little cliques of people that only want to do transactions with each other. And I say this because in our industry, you should run this as a business, and it should be about your buyer and seller clients, not about your ego, right? So I think in networking done with the right people and the right groups is amazing. So I like coming into a room where you've got top producers, and everybody here wants to go next level. That's why we're here, right? So it's not about being part of the Mean Girls Club. It's not part of prejudging someone before you've met them. It's about doing the best transaction you can for somebody. So networking done for the right reasons, I think, is absolutely amazing.
For the right reasons.
For the right reasons.
For the right reasons. I hear you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's my actions speak louder than my words.
Amen.
Right?
Yes.
I will be a hero in someone's conversation, I will be a villain in somebody else's.
Amen.
I just don't care, right? Like, it is what it is. Like, just, did you do the right thing?
And that's always
Did you put the numbers up? Are your clients safe and secure? Did he act in fiduciary capacity?
Correct.
Right? Because on the other side, with a buyer, I'm the devil, right? Like, I'm an asshole.
Of course.
Sorry for cursing. I apologize.
I've had buyers call me and
Earmuffs,
yell at
man.
me because my seller was greedy because they wanted above market value, and I've had people call me and yell at me about this, and I'm like, this is America, this is the marketplace, it's what the market will bear, it's what the marketplace decides, not what I decide. And by the way, and I get my seller, my agent told me to take the first offer I got, and I'm like, I can't speak to that, I'm not part of that transaction. What I can say is, in this marketplace, every buyer and seller should do what's best for them and what they believe in, right? And so, but I've been the villain on many buy sides because we managed to get prices way up and beyond. If you've been part of that in our marketplace, we didn't have that for years, and then we got into COVID and we had these bidding wars, and you can sell the house to one person, so now you're the villain in 49 other stories. And it's focused on you and not the seller. It's an interesting market that we live in, right? I find, but that's part of education
I think
too.
it's part of the beast,
because
right?
when that person called me, I had to, after listening to them yell at me for good 5 to 7 minutes, I was like, okay, now let me talk about how I do business and how things are set up for marketplace values.
There's a line that I say every day in my business. If I had a crystal ball, we wouldn't be here. I'd be a billionaire on a beach, white sands. We wouldn't be talking, right? Like, I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
I don't speak in absolutes. I speak in like generalities, especially when it comes to business. So anyone that's like, this is the number on a house. You know how many agents I've seen talk themselves out of listings?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, because like, this is the number. Like, dude, relax. You don't know, right?
Right.
If you can tell the future, please give me an inside track with you. I think we do better than sitting in this office here.
Absolutely.
Right. So I feel like the mindset for a lot of people, and again, I don't blame the agents. I blame the broker manager.
Leadership.
I
Yep.
blame the brokerage. I blame the Nexus, right, for us locally,
Yes.
right? Like, I blame those folks that need to be a better beacon of light and teach these people how to do better in their careers.
Absolutely.
But I'm also kind of grateful because that makes me stand out. Makes
Right.
you stand out, right? Makes a lot of us stand out. So that sometimes you need some bad actors to be the hero, right? To have a hero conversation.
Absolutely.
I don't believe in networking. I believe that if you're networking, there's a product being sold. Either you're selling something or you're being sold something in networking. I believe in having like 3 down-ass friends in real estate, right? That you can call and lean on and talk crap with and ask questions that are at a high level. Going out to the constant networking events, I like meeting new people, don't get me wrong, but I also know that either you're trying to sell me something or I'm trying to sell you something because we're in what? We're in business. We're trying to sell something every day. We trade time for something every single day. There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Amen.
You are the product.
Yes.
Right? So I'm not a big believer in networking, but I do believe in building your reputation throughout the industry and getting to know folks, but I don't believe in the whole like I have to stay out constantly
gosh.
at happy hours.
Yeah.
Doing networking.
I don't do happy hours because nothing good happens there. Those are all those events
I get
where people.
hammered. Everything good happens there. Let's go.
Nothing good happens there. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool. So we're gonna move on to the elephant in the room, I call it, the current events, elephant in the room. What are your thoughts on the NAR settlement? How does your office handle this discussion? And what is your perspective on NAR itself as an organization?
NAR is outdated. They are a lobby unto themselves. They don't have our best interests at heart, and I hate that Nexus makes us belong to NAR. Want to be really
Tell me how
clear.
you really feel. Don't hold back, okay?
So and anybody in here that feels that way, you should call Nexus and put in an email to them that you don't want to be required, because I think that's the next potential class action lawsuit. None of these places should require us to do that. So that aside, I think the lawsuit's long overdue, the outcome. As I said, I was talking about this earlier, when I first read this lawsuit, I kind of sat down and thought about things, and I decided, along with a group of people, a good group, 10 to 12 of us, mastermind across the country, actually, internationally, and we came up with Buyer's Agency and a way to do business that was different than everybody else was doing. So 7 or 8 years ago, and right after this lawsuit came out, we didn't say about a year after that, we started doing Buyer's Agency. We value Stacker Buyer's Agency. It is a requirement. Our buyers maybe get used to get one free time out with us before they were making a commitment to work with us. And there's value stacking, there's guarantees that go along with it. It's not just, hey, you're loyal to me. It's, these are the things I bring to the table. I want to espouse what differentiates me from everybody else out there, and how I'm gonna put you in a house that you're gonna be able to grow your family in, whatever that family looks like, right? So I think that it's long overdue, and we pivoted, and so for everybody else playing catch up, we've been doing this for years, and we're
Yeah,
happy about it.
I think the lawsuit was great to give us a little wake up call, right?
Amen.
And, break that monotony of the same vicious cycle to
Yes.
level up the industry
Yes.
overall. So I think that change is good, depending on how you lean into it and which side you're receiving it on. So I'm all for the NAR settlement. I think it's great to hold accountability. One, it's cool for consumers. Two, it's just America, baby. Like, hold people accountable, right? Like, that's the whole point of the wheels of justice. Well, they turn slow, but they turn.
Yeah.
And to that effect, in my office, the way we talk about it is that it's a commission earned, not gifted.
Correct.
Right? Like, we have to earn that commission for you, and here's what I
Yes.
charge, right? And just like
Yes.
you don't like what I charge, you don't have to hire me, and vice versa. You don't want to pay, I don't have to work with you. Right?
Exactly.
So that's our approach on the NAR settlement. That's how we discuss it in the office, that it's always been a free market.
Absolutely.
We are a full disclosure
It's all
brokerage.
negotiable, always has been, always will be.
And yeah, most people didn't know that because they weren't getting it from the leadership,
That's
core
correct.
leadership side of
Yes,
things,
yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
that's how we lean into the NAR settlement at my office. But the organization itself, NAR, NAJAR, local boards, I think that they are needed. I think that they're great. I think that they are just kind of lost their way a little bit. I think that they got into a stagnation phase where it just kind of rotted from the inside out.
Yes.
But I'm excited to see changes in the organization. I hope that they become the beacon that they should be and the change facilitators that they should be and help level up our industry overall.
Right.
They may have lost their way a little bit, but I do believe in the organization. I don't hate it, I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of good that can come from it if we come together as a group and as an industry.
So let me be clear, NAR is what I'm talking about. Our local communities, if they ask more about what we needed, instead of saying, hey, by the way, here's the classes we think you should take, if they ask more questions about what we as a collective need, I think we would be better served. And so it would be great if
I
the
also
local-
feel that it's like taking a cog out of the wheel. Like the wheel's unstable at that point. Like we need a national to oversee state, to oversee local. That's how the federal government works, right? So it's state governments. So like that's how democracy works. I think that you need to have a top end organization to help guide the locals on a big 10,000 foot perspective and the locals to the 1,000 foot, right? Like we were talking about EMDs. EMDs in New Jersey are toilet paper. They're worthless. No one ever. I think I've gotten a handful out of the 1,000 deals that I've ever done. I think 5
Right.
might have actually defaulted, right? But Florida, you put it the second you make an offer with an EMD, shit's binding.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's crazy the way that, but that's a local
Right.
organization that should be monitoring how they do things. They should be talking to the national level to put out change, right? That's why RPAC, I'm a chair of RPAC, that's why RPAC is this, so we can hear how other places are doing things and that we can implement some positive changes in the industry overall. So as much as I hear you, I also disagree with you on that I think NAR is a very good organization. Over the next 5 years, I know I'm running out of time here, I think I got like 60 seconds, so I have 2 questions left. What is your predictions over the next 5 years for real estate?
Yeah, it's going to continue to grow and thrive. We'll see more disruption. I know we as a group will continue to improve. I don't see very much changing in terms of people will always need to buy and sell. They're growing, they're dying, right?
I'm a big believer that the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Absolutely.
The sky isn't falling, chicken little, relax.
Not at all.
Right? Like
Yeah.
people are still gonna be people. Now, what will change to me is the UI UX of the real estate transaction. UI, user interface, user experience, right? Like that's what it stands for. So I want to see how that. I'm excited to be part of that change. I want to see what comes out. But it's going to be the interface of which a buyer and seller interact, the communication, the process, the paperwork that I think will evolve. I also feel that big box brokerages are on a real shaky foundation for the future. I think that once that whole they were talking about the mill, the rosters, right, getting to a point where it dwindles down, they become unsustainable.
Correct.
And I think there's a lot, like you own an independent brokerage.
Yes.
I own an independent brokerage.
Yes.
The difference between us and working for a different brokerage was a $175 application fee with the board back when I did, right? Like I still, the money you pay on rent, the money you pay on E&O, the money you're paying towards a cap or some type of fee structure to your big box brokerage type of things.
Yeah.
I think that when the aha moment comes out, when people start to realize like, I can just go do this on my own kind of deal.
Right.
Right, and then they like take the brakes off that fear. It's gonna be a fantastic
It
change.
really comes down to whether you want to be in the business of selling houses or you want to be in the business of recruiting agents, because that's really the difference in an independent brokerage versus a big box, in my opinion, right? That's what you see, because they're selling you that this is your retirement fund as opposed to something else, and so it really comes down to who you serve.
There's one thing in your career that you would go back and do again. What would it be?
Good question. The only regret I've ever had in my life is that I didn't move out of New Jersey sooner. so it would be, and most people, and back in the day, it was this, I was moving to California. That's also fallen off a cliff. But I will say, I mean, been very blessed because it failed forward in all cases.
That's right.
So
Failure is
failing
mother of
forward,
success.
that's the only thing I would have changed. How about you?
For me, I would have checked my ego at the door a long time ago. I let ego make decisions for me. Ego's not my ego sometimes. It's systemic, right? Like all businesses, right? So I think that I would have fought harder to keep the good people, fire the crappy people I knew that were in our office sooner. Right? I wish I would have let them go faster. I wish I would have started buying real estate in grade school.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining our